What's up? It's bike teardown day. We got Rock Hill this weekend. So we're gonna strip it down, and as we put it back together, I'm gonna talk to you guys about what to look out for and what I'm gonna be changing for the Rock Hill race. Oh, you guys are the first ones to see it. New 9.5 merch, long sleeves are here, link in the description. Time lapse, go. This bike has been a little neglected, seeing how we've had a bit of a break in the race season. Take it for a little deep scrub, and then we'll get back into putting it together. All right, we are clean. So I left the brakes on because I just don't want to take the brakes off. There's no air in the line. They don't feel like they need to be bled, so I just leave them intact. And once you learn how to work on hydraulic brakes, they are really simple to use, but at the same time, it's just a little effort than just pulling cables. So once they're good, they're good. I don't like to mess with them unless they actually need to be addressed. I simply use water hose, brush, and a bike cleaner. I spray it down, let it sit for a second, brush it really good, hose it off. Simple as that. The only bearings in here right now are the bottom bracket, and just be smart. Don't spray the water hose directly into the bearings. You're gonna be fine. They're not gonna rust, they're not gonna go bad, they're perfectly fine. All right, put the front end back on. So very regularly, I get the question about what grease I use. Moto Rex, they said. A mountain bike mechanic literally gave me like 3 tubs of this, probably 6 years ago. I think my entire career of riding BMX, I recall like probably 3 of these tubs. This one, I mean, look how much I've used. It doesn't take much on these bikes, right? But just bearing grease, nothing special. Don't forget the grease on the bottom race of your fork. If you have an Icon fork, the race is actually built in. I want to address that because I've seen a few people try to slide that race. There's normally a fork race that comes with like a new headset, and I've seen people try to slide it on and figure out why it doesn't go all the way on. The Icon fork, it's fully built in, so it's just one less moving part. Make sure transponder's on. I actually have my transponder electric taped on the inside of my fork. I don't like the zip tie, it just leaves that little knuckle. As much as I don't like the transponder on here at all, these things are very convenient. It gives us lap times, it's great for training, but I'll show you my trick. Whenever I get like a flat tire or something, I'll usually save one of my old tubes. I mean, one tube can last a while, and I chop them up into like these little 3 to 4 inch pieces. What I do is I like to slide the tube up and over the fork leg and around the transponder. The transponder still works as it should, but it leaves it with a much cleaner look on the fork than just a big red thing. We're putting a new product on my bike, which I'm pretty excited about. So I run a drop stem with a 7.5 inch high bar because on my race bike, I really want to be over the front. In BMX, your bike should be purely built around performance to get out of the gate. When you have a higher bar, it stands you up higher. It's a much more relaxed, comfy position, which is fine. But if you want a better first straightaway, if you want to get out of that gate quicker, you need to be over the front so you really have some leverage to pull on those bars. And plus, being over the front, you're always in that attack mode around the track. Up high, you're not going to get as much power transfer coming out of that gate. With all that being said, I have not been able to run this bar in the past because before 11 only made these in an 8 inch. So this is the 31.8 bar where it's real fat on the stem, right? So bigger stem, bigger bar. And my favorite feature of this is, look at the top tube. See how the top tube is like tapered? It's wider on the ends and skinny in the middle. You can only do so much to a handlebar to make it cool, right? So just this little aesthetic I've always loved so much. So I'm excited to put this bar on my bike for 2 reasons. Aesthetically, it looks a little cooler up here even though we have number plates on. And 2, it's supposed to be much stiffer and stronger. Yes, my stem is upside down again because I want it to be as low as possible. Tie bolts in the 11 stem, and it's just a nice, clean looking product, you know? See how the stem is mounted as well? I like how that's just something a little different. Nothing crazy, it's just little features like that I find cool, you know? The only downfall about how low I run my front end, when I turn around, my stem actually hits my top tube. No X-ups for me on my race bike. My front tire is good, so I'm not gonna change tires, but I am gonna change the rear. But this front Maxxis is still pretty dialed. But what we do want to do before we move on from the front end, go through and just check all your spokes. Make sure you don't have any loose spokes that obviously need to be kind of addressed. Like I got one right there. You want your spokes to be snug, because if you got loose spokes and you go on a turn, your wheels are going to be wobbly, right? You're going to have a lot more flex. So if you got stiff spokes, you're going to have a much stiffer wheel. Yes, you can over tension them, but that's over my pay grade. I don't know what to tell you there. I go off feel. What I like to do, especially on the front, it's easy. I just use my thumb, keep it in one spot, kind of use it as a truant stand. So you find it right there. Quick and easy way to true your wheels while they're still on the bike. Obviously it's not going to be perfect, but BMX tracks aren't perfect either, so as long as it's close enough. That's why we got disc brakes now, right? Alright, very simple one, seat post, right? Especially if you have a quick release. Take your quick release apart, clean this little screw and grease all that, because again, you don't want this just dry metal on metal, you know, especially aluminum. Aluminum's soft, so more it just grinds against each other. Dry, it's just gonna wear it out. So put some grease in there, it'll make this part last a lot longer. But also don't forget the little roller on the inside. No, I do not put any carbon paste or anything on my seat post. I just keep it dry and obviously make sure it's tight. You know, I gotta address this because Pete loves it. This seat is the very first seat I got when I got on Chase, which was 2022. I put this little self-tapper in the back of the carbon seat post. And look, the logo on this seat post is as clean as it was on day one. Almost 3 years later. And that's because put it in, you can hardly see it, doesn't go down any further. So if you slam down on your seat, because you don't want to over tighten carbon, if you over tighten it, it's going to crush it and it's going to ruin it over time. So now I got that little bolt on there, keep it snug. My seat post never goes past that point, and I always have a nice 11 logo on there. Drilling on your bike parts is not recommended though. All right, let's throw our cranks back on. Don't forget your little dust covers. Bearings are still spinning good. Nothing needs to be addressed there. But before I slide these on, I'll give you guys a little insight on my build. I never change my gear. I have the same gear every track, everywhere we go, all season. Besides Rock Hill. Rock Hill is the only track that I actually changed my gear, and that's because their gate is a little steeper than I think every other track around the world. I don't think it was on purpose. It just is what happened when they put it in. But since you have a steeper gate, you can allow yourself a little stiffer gear. A steeper gate just really kind of gets you going out of the gate a little quicker. So you have room to bump up your gear just slightly and it still kind of feels normal. So yeah, I just bumped my gear up a hair. And just to give me a little extra to push on, and then I have a little more at the bottom of the hill. You don't want to do drastic changes because remember, you still need to have a good first 4 pedals so you're not getting cut off. You get cut off on your first 4 pedals, it doesn't matter what gear you're on. You're playing catch up by that point. All right, cranks are good, gear's good. I did switch my pedals to my race set. If you can find yourself with 2 sets of pedals, keeping one set as race specific is just, not that you want a mechanical to happen anywhere on your bike, but when it comes to pedals, that is one part you don't want to fail. And over time, everything wears out, they do fail. So if you keep yourself one set of specific race set of pedals, you're going to eliminate any extra chances of a mechanical or something happening on a race weekend, right? Mom and Dad spent a lot of money to have you guys at races. So investing into an extra set of pedals just to make sure that's one less thing to go wrong on a race weekend. I just think it's a smart investment for your pockets and for your body. As you guys have seen, I paid that due, right? All right, back wheel. Now for the back wheel, I did change my rear tire. If you guys have been watching this channel for a while, you know I prefer the Maxxis DTH in the rear. I like the back and forth grooves on the center tread just to give you that little more bite coming out of the gate. But if you've been here for a while, you also know I am not the biggest fan of the Rock Hill track. Sorry, I love the Rock Hill track, but the small hill side, I just hate that first turn so much. I went with the Maxxis Torch because it's got a little more of a side groove, so when you're really hooking in that first turn, I got a little more bite to eliminate the chances of any slide outs. The DTH is a great tire, but it doesn't have that side groove like I wish it did. So many tracks nowadays, big asphalt turns, you're not doing that much carving, but Rock Hill we are. So I just want to make sure I have a little extra bite. And when I changed my tire, I did put a brand new Blue Tech ultralight tube in there. Because I already had the wheel apart, might as well throw in a fresh tube because those things are super thin. So again, eliminating any chances of a flat tire. Check for any loose spokes, especially in the back wheel. You definitely don't want loose spokes in the back wheel because you're putting all that torque out of the gate, right? So if you got loose spokes and that hub is twisting, not responding as quick on the wheel, we're losing those 1%. That feels good. Lastly, let's put on a new chain. We have the KMC HL1 narrow half link chain. I've ridden half link chains for honestly as long as I can remember, but this is actually my first season on these KMC chains and they've been good so far. I'm normally pretty picky about my chains, but this one has been pretty flawless so far. Chains and pedals, it's the biggest things I keep my eye on. I'm not anal about much, but nowadays I definitely make sure my pedals and my chain are dialed. That's it. She's race ready. Gear changed, tires are aired up. I run 100 in the rear, 95 in the front. If I want to go down, I'll go 95 in the back, 90 in the front. I like my tires nice and hard. Tracks nowadays are just so opened up, you don't have to worry about that extra grip. So I just want to eliminate any extra rolling resistance, you know? Tires are good, chain's good, pedals are good, everything's greased. We're good to go. As always, besides the tires, all this can be found at brgstore.com. Link is below. Same for the 9.5 stuff. So get on those links, buy you some stuff, support the cause. Until next time, see you, Rock Hill. Peace.